What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm tackling a documentary. This is The Last Republican. We're down to the final one. There's a documentary about him. No more after this. No more Republican. It's a documentary about Adam Kingsley and his on his way out of the office. It's from the director of Hot Tub Time Machine, which is underutilized. I feel like that is, but that's the kind of oddity that they talk about. They address it like straight on. I mean, these two have completely different political backgrounds and aspirations, and the guy Steve, whatever his name is, he asks Adam. He's like, "Why did you choose me?" He's like, "Well, because of Hot Tub Time Machine, obviously." Like, um. He's like, if you can make that, then you can make anything, you know? So, um, yeah, it's interesting to see somebody who, like, is diametrically opposed on every issue but this one, this one belief system that Adam stood by. We forget, like, I think that just because the line in the sand was drawn, that these people that we look at as being, um, I don't know, somehow like uh, all of a sudden they're like breaking from their party, and therefore they must be. We must embrace them on the on the Democratic side. They're not Democrats. There's nothing about these guys and their political views that are Democrats. That's what Adam says. I mean, he's like, I'm not left. I'm not liberal. I'm not a Democrat. Like everything else I stand for, I still stand. I'm still conservative. Um, so are people like Liz Cheney and now Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think it's crazy to think that because a line in the sand was drawn and they stepped to the other side of it, that suddenly that makes them some sort of you know, I don't know, hero for the other side. But I this film kind of addresses that. There's no audio description, which is it's fine, whatever. It's there should be, but I'm kind of just amazed that this documentary exists. It's playing to a limited audience anyway, and it's mostly just following Adam around in his final days, talking about and using footage we've seen from the January 6th hearings, and talking about Adams like reminding people, and we see the footage, and it's so weird because you see footage of people who have walked back their comments, and yet they have all these comments at the time about the big lie and the condemnation, right, of Donald Trump. And now all these people are like, nah, we that wasn't there, that didn't exist, we didn't do that. They pretend like the internet doesn't keep footage out there, or I don't understand. Um, but yeah, they use a lot of that old footage to remind you that all these people who now are back to um, kissing ass were not back then. That there was a period of time, and Adam laments the fact that if their party had just kept going down that pathway, they'd be in a very different place. And the only reason why he has lost all of his friends and everything is because he stuck with it, and he had the fortitude, the testicular fortitude to do so when everybody else didn't. So he didn't just become a Democrat. He didn't just switch to the other side. These people, their ideals and everything uh, when you look at their voting record, it's so conservative and it's so Republican and it's so red that you know I remember seeing the statistic at the time when Liz stood up and said no, that her voting record was more in line with Donald Trump's than Elise Stefanik's was, but yet he was embracing her, even though she had voted with him less than Liz Cheney had. So it's just all about timing, and I don't know, that's probably changed. That was, years ago when this happened. Feels like a decade ago, but it also feels like it was yesterday at the same time. It's this very weird thing. But if you want to watch Adam Kinzinger say farewell, then watch Adam Kinzinger say farewell. I don't know. This is what the documentary is for. This is going to preach to a choir, and the kind of people who are going to comment and troll on me are going to be the exact same people who would not watch this documentary to begin with and don't believe it should exist, and the kind of people who, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is all very predictable. Um, so who is this made for? Like, who's actually watching this? It's the same people that Adam doesn't actually align with, and that's kind of the gag. And he does talk about that. He's like, I didn't become a Democrat. So it's a very odd place for him to be in because he's sort of like a man without a party. Um, so yeah. Or I I don't know. This was a pretty. I don't think this is not going to get an Oscar, but I I think, and I'm trying to think about it from like a sort of like a neutral perspective. It uses a lot of archival footage of people saying things, and it is all from Adam's perspective. So it's not trying to like reshape. It's not a documentary that is like reshaping January 6th without um with like a different perspective, like it's the reshaping of January 6th, like we're rewriting history or something like that. It's all really about Adam's perspective and his involvement in January 6th and the January 6th committee and stuff like that. So this is an Adam Kinzinger documentary more than it is anything else. So in terms of truthiness, I think it's probably pretty accurate because it's all from his viewpoint anyway. It's the Adam documentary. It's not a documentary about politics. It's not a documentary that's necessarily indicative or representative of the entire Republican Party without, you know, um, more participation from other figures. It's casting a small net. It just feels like it's casting a wider one. But this is like sitting down and talking to Adam about his final days and how he got here and the journey and everything. It's from his perspective. So you just either agree or disagree with Adam and go from there. But I'm going to go fresh on this, and I'm going to give it 8.2 out of 10. I think it's one of the better documentaries this year, but not one of the best. Like, it's a good documentary. It's just not a great one. It's not going to win an Oscar or anything like that, but I think it's perfectly fine. Um, I think it's hard if I had to quantify and you're like, well, why did you give it any load of a grade at all? You pretty much just sound like you love this movie. Yeah, I love the movie like inherently because it agrees with me, which is true about like anything, but at the same time, I acknowledge the fact that it either needs to be like a full one-on, if it wants to get a higher grade for me, it needs to be either just be a full one-on-one conversation. I think we keep checking in with his chief of staff or his wife or something, um, somebody. But there's like one other person. There's a female, and I don't know because I don't have audio description. I'm sure at the bottom there's like a little name that pops up and it says like, or I missed it, and she was like, "I'm Sarah." But there really just aren't enough other people that comment on Adam, and then so the same, so it either needed to narrow or broaden the field. It feels limited, but not so limited, and it's not broad enough with enough opinions from other people coming in here to talk about him to be like an Adam Kinzinger documentary with all of these other people offering their suggestions. I think he's got like a family member that comes in. It feels like they tried, they put it out there for a couple people. Most people were like, I don't know if I want to be in this film. And then they went with a couple people who said yes, but it's really not enough. So I would have just limited the scope even more and just done Adam, If you're asking, well, how could you have made this better? I don't think you could have gotten everybody you wanted to get, and I think you heard some no's. And I think I would have just limited it down to just Adam, and had a conversation. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.